Alright guys, I'm back again with another video. This one is a suggestion that was placed on one of my earlier videos by Antoine Gutierrez. I think I said if I fucked it up, my bad. You can shout yourself out in the comments and correct me and make fun of me for my pronunciation. But basically, he wanted to know what are my thoughts on uh, IO. Now, first and foremost, let me be clear. I was following the Chicago Bulls draft because I wanted to know what they were getting just in case they got Zoe. So I was keeping my eyes peeped just in case he went there, which he did, and a couple other teams like Boston and the Pels because I wanted to kind of, so any team basically that was mentioned with Zoe, I wanted to see what they were getting so I could gauge interest. So when they drafted Io, I was like, okay, they got another guard, and I didn't, I don't pay attention to college. I don't watch college, so I know very little about him. And so I just had to kind of go off of, okay, what is he? What can he do? Hearsay. I didn't watch any of the summer league. I didn't care. So all I know of Io is what I saw through the regular season, and what jumped out at me was just how smart he was. About a month ago, I found out he was actually older than Kobe by a month. As odd as that is, he's 21. He'll be 22 this February. Actually, no, I think he'll be 22 next month. Okay, he'll be 22 next month in January. Just an aside, my birthday is Monday, so I'll be 34. Shout out to all my Capricorns and Aquariuses that are born in the month of January. But yeah, he's older than Kobe White. And it shocked me because I was just like, really? I thought Io was 19. So it pulled down some of my thought processes on what his peak could be. Because coming in at age 21 is way different than Kobe, who came in at 19. 19, Kobe got way more. Well, Kobe coming in from 19 has way more NBA experience than Io. Io just got basketball experience from college, and that's fine. Nobody's tripping about that. But it kind of pulled down some of my expectations because I'm like, oh, they basically the same age. They're right there. So it's just a matter of, okay, what do you want? I think Kobe is a much more natural scorer. And so I think scoring the ball, he'll be more consistent as he ages. That's not to say that Io can't score. I just think if we're going to have a conversation about who's likely to average 25, 30 points a game, I think you would lean more to Kobe versus Io. But the thing is, that's where it stops as far as like what Kobe can do. So to answer or to address the point of Antoine, what is his ceiling? What is Io's ceiling? That's hard to say. He kind of reminds me of the framework that I used to call the term I use is I call Zoa toolbox, and he's not the only one in the league. There's Draymond, and there's a bunch of other players like what's the cat from Orlando? I think it's Frank Wagner. I think some of these European guys that are coming over here that got skills in different departments. He's one of those guys to me. I don't think his ceiling is as high as like someone like a Zoe is, or maybe even Frank Wagner. But I think he's like one of those players that he could do a little bit of everything, which means he's flexible, he's versatile. Now, at the beginning of the season, I thought he was going to play in place of Kobe. And I thought what they would do is they would have, because you got your backcourt. We don't have to worry about the start backcourt. That shit ain't changing. But what I really thought was going to happen was Caruso would come in and take over the Zoe role, and Aya would take over the Levine role. And if one of them got into foul trouble, Io can pivot and play point guard, or he could play shooting guard. To me, it was kind of like, oh, that's Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is another one of those toolbox guys. He could do a little bit of everything. But that's what I thought was going to happen. And then when Kobe got back, I assumed, okay, Kobe and Caruso would just have the second unit, and that would be that. I did not, again, this is me thinking Io was 19 years old, not having any information on him. He comes in, and I'm watching him play. I'm like, Io's always in the right spots. Always in the right spots. Okay, he's not doing too much. He's not doing too little. He's very poised. I like that. I really like that. Now he's knocking down a 3-pointer. I'm like, okay, he got a shot. He got a decent shot. Okay. What else does he have? He can see the floor very well. Nice. Need that. Okay, okay. And then I start thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. Pass, shoot, defend, smart. Like, this motherfucker's good. I was like, okay, but wait a minute. Kobe can outscore him, so fine. Kobe can just shoot. Wait a minute, hold on. I was like, Kobe, what numbers did he put up last year? Wow, his numbers were worse than Zoe's. Shit. And so when that happened, I was just like, if they're the same age and he's already higher in certain other levels. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Io, right? And Kobe. What I do know, because I've watched the Bulls here and there the last couple of years, because I actually like Kobe, despite a lot of the slander y'all have been seeing me give. I like Kobe. I like the draft pick when they drafted him. And I like Zach LaVine, and I like the Bulls and Wendell Carter Jr. and Laurie Markkinen. I still like all those guys, right? I wish I'm cool with them leaving Laurie and let him go, but I wish they could have kept Wendell. Anyway, put that to the side. So I kind of been watching and keeping my ear peeped to Chicago, right? The thing with Chicago is, and I knew this because I was constantly peeping, they wanted to get Kobe to be more like a traditional point guard so that he could exist next to Zach. When they tried it. Once it became evident that wasn't what he was going to be able to do, okay, he's not geared to do that. Fine. So we need a point guard. Start hearing the rumors for Zoe tick up. Now, they also wanted him to play defense. He wasn't doing any of that. Here's the thing. Io brings all of the stuff that the Bulls front office wanted from Kobe and they was trying to push him to do and grow into that he just never was able to get to. And once I realized that, I was like, okay, Kobe don't have much time. When he come back here, you got to go. And here's the reason why. And I think this is probably what's missing in the conversation when people hear my takes. The Chicago Bulls front office under Acme has not played any games. Hear me out. Since they've been here, they gave them 3 to 4 months to see, okay, what can you do? Wendell, Laurie, all of them. What are you capable of? Okay. We've seen enough. Bye. Right? The longer it took Kobe to get there or get back, the less time he was going to have. So he got back middle of the month, November. We're in December. I get the shoulder injury. I get being out for COVID and missing a couple weeks. But here's the thing, people. This front office is they're not playing any games. You get out there and show you belong here, or you can get the fuck packing. Period. And they didn't draft Kobe. So they want to play Io anyway. So here's where we're at. Now I know I kind of haven't touched on the point yet. I'm gonna get here. What is Io ceiling? I don't like I said. I don't think he's gonna have the offensive prowess that Kobe is. What do I mean? If we was just saying who's likely to get 30 points, I think we all agree Kobe is likely going to do that because Kobe's going to just take them shots. Io to me is going to be more of a guy who's going to come in and get you 12 to 18 points, play good defense. He's going to be Drew Holiday probably as a comp, but I'm not sure if he'll ever develop at those peaks. You know what I'm saying? Like the player he plays like to me will be Drew, but he won't ever have the actual skill points. If you ever played any kind of major RPG and stuff, when you level up, I don't think he'll have the points, in the slots to be Drew Holiday. But if he can be anything close to it, here's what I think eventually is going to happen. And I got into a big argument about this conversation yesterday, which is why I don't mind making this video. I ultimately think Caruso is not going to be here long term. Let me explain. Caruso is 26. By the time his contract is over, he'll be 30. You may see them extend him again. It could be for 4 years, but he's 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. He's getting 9-ish to 10 million a year. At that point in his career, he'll command an easy 12 to 18. Okay? Now, we're predicting the salary cap and all that shit to go up. I don't think he's going to be here past 30. And especially when you got these guys trying to run, I think they will groom Io to replace Caruso. Even if he is or is not the same level of defender that Caruso is, I think that what they're saying is Io is a better offensive player than Caruso. And so you sit there and say, we'll shave off some of the defense and put it on the offense. There you go. That's just my thought process. I'm not sure, but if I'm thinking long term, you don't want to pay Caruso anyway. By the time Io's contract is up, because think about it, forget the draft. Consider Caruso and Io both signed in the same year, right? It's cheaper to pay Io than it is to pay Caruso. You're already finna front load Zach a lot of money. Zoe contract is 3 with a possible for the 4. You're going to have to pay Zoe. Vooch and DeRozan probably won't be here. Or if they're here, way less on the books. 3 years regardless. So after this year, the next year, following year, after that, that's DeRozan. Vooch is out after next year. By the way, the Joker is a free agent then. AK drafted him. So would it surprise me if Joker was coming? Not at all. Not at all. So anywho, I think ultimately the timeline works better that way. Io will have been here for 4 years. He'll be 25 years old. He will have filled out and got enough NBA experience to be whatever he's going to be. I don't think his ceiling is, at least on this team, I don't think he's going to start as point guard or shooting guard. But I think at some point, especially as he develops and gets better, I think he's going to be one of those glue guys. If Zoe gets injured, you can start Io in his place. If Zach LaVine gets injured, you can start Io in his place. I think that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. I think, but again, me talking about this also is very dependent on all the other parts that they have. Because Caruso is ahead of him, period. Okay? What would jump him Because remember, Io is only 21. He'll be 22 within the next month or so. Caruso is 26. 5 year gap. If you're telling me Io is going to come in and keep getting better, because Caruso is basically as polished as he's going to get, you know what he is. Zoe is getting to that point where you know what he is. He's still got about another year and a half, 2 years. Io still got like 4 to 5 years to polish out his game. He is going to be an important key to this team. Now, they could potentially trade him, and that'll work because they'll get value back. Especially if they want to keep Caruso and just keep the rest of it together. Hey, Io, thank you for your service. We want to send you to another team so that you can, explore your talents more. I could see that happening. But quite frankly, Io's just too good. Like, if I'm being real, there are certain games now I would rather have him in closing instead of Caruso. And it's only because I feel like he's another scoring threat on the court with that where Caruso in. But the difference is experience versus youth. Yes, they're both young, but Caruso is a champion. He has ran the gauntlet in the playoffs next to LeBron, AD. He has done it more than once. Not necessarily being a champion, but he's played finals, conference finals, semifinals, first round. He knows he knows the game. So it's very hard to justify Io over him. But ultimately, like I said, I think he's just going to come in. And I think here's the other part to this, too. The longer Caruso is on this team, I think they're going to want to push him more to be better on the offensive end. Because that way you can sit and rest Zoe and Zach together. And depending on what you want on matchups, you might say, okay, we need more offense. Okay? So maybe we need to sit Caruso and Zoe and bring in Io next to Zach and let them both, punish other opposing smaller backcourts. Or you might be like, okay, we need more defense on the wing or on the perimeter, and maybe we need to play Caruso next to DeRozan or somebody else and be the point of attack. He could be the lead guard there. And so then you say, okay, Lonzo and Io. And now they can complement each other. They can both flex as need be. They can both play the same role within each other. And it's just like, okay, if Lonzo got the ball, okay, I know I'm on scoring. If Io got the ball, they'll say, I already know I'm on scoring. His ceiling is high, though. Not high as in superstar or anything like that, but considering he was taken in the second round, he's a first round talent. And I think if everything works out, maybe for him in 1 year, doesn't have to be on the Bulls, but he maybe can squeak in and get an All Star. That's honestly how I feel about him. I'm really high on him. Like, obviously, there's the closing five, the shot five. We're just gonna call him the shot five for right now. And I don't need to explain who that is. The shot five, we know who the Bulls closing lineup is. Okay. Honestly, if you put a gun in my head and told me Io or Pat, I don't want to have to make that decision. it if we're talking about best player right now, and it sucks because Pat didn't play that long, and so it's kind of like a prisoner of the moment thing, and I want to give Pat his respect. But man, Io looking tough right now. Io is looking tough. I'm being real. I don't know I think I would take Io over Pat right now. And I'm not saying that as a diss to Pat because I know I've said things about Pat Will, love and respect the guy, but Io bringing it. And even when the last we saw Pat, Pat was kind of timid. That's not to say that he can't be really special. But if you put a gun in my head and say, okay, you got to pick one, I think I'll take Io. He is the sixth best player right now. And I know people might say Derrick Jones. People might say, well, what about Alfonso McKinney? Because you like Alfonso. Yeah, I do like Alfonso McKinney. But if we're talking the whole roster fully healthy right now, if you put Pat Will, Io, and Derrick Jones in front of me right now, and since you had to lose the other two, I'm keeping Io, man. Like that is how high on Io I am. And I apologize if this offends y'all or y'all like you full of shit, Jay Strokes. Hey, I'm willing to take that heat in the comment section. But bruh, every time Io step in the game, I'm like, we winning. Like, I don't say that about anybody else. Now I will give this to DJ, Derrick Jones. He's having to be played out of position. Dude is getting beat up out there. If he played at just a small forward, I might be a little bit more higher on him as opposed to the other two. If you told me and I had to rank them, Io, Pat, and that's very close, and then DJ. But Io has Io has impressed the fuck out of me. And as a Mavs fan formerly, wearing my blue, I wish I had Io on my team right now. Like, it's that real. But yeah, man, that's my viewpoint of it. I think he's a high floor, lower ceiling kind of player. Um, I can see him. I don't think he'll ever be a 40% 3-point shooter. I'm thinking somewhere around 36, 38, which is fair. That's average for the league. Um, I think he's a guy that can probably float between 42 and 47%. I'm thinking maybe 45% field goal shooting. Um, if I'm not mistaken, his free throw shooting is not that good. I think he's like in the 60s or 70s, low 70s or something. You got to get that up. But defensively, he got all the things there. He got all the tools to like. Um, Very solid defender. I don't see all defense with him, but I see combo guard. To me, he reminds me of what I think New Orleans thought now was going to be. Except now it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to go out there shoot everything. Io is more like, I'm going to let the game come to me. But anyway, that's my thoughts. You know what? This is actually interesting. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And thank you for even the video idea. This gives me something to work towards for the next couple of weeks. What I want you guys to do in the comment section, give me 3 players on the Bulls, and I'm gonna go through and look through all the comments. And whoever wins out, I'm gonna do another video about them. So it doesn't matter who it is on the roster. Tony Bradley, Matt Thomas, Zach LaVine, DeRozan Vooch. Hell, you know what? If you want to open it up to Billy Donovan too, I'll take Billy Donovan. But the coach or anybody else on the roster, if you got an opinion or you want my true thoughts on, put them down and I will go through the list. And whoever got the most first place votes, I will give you my honest opinion on it, just like I did with AO. But anyway, I hope this addresses your thoughts. I hope I answered your question. Um, God, I really got to think about this. Pat versus Io. I got to think about that one, man. But anyway, y'all have a good day. Peace.